going on, man? I'm not going to do too much talking. I'm just excited because tonight's the night. Dmitry Bivol facing off against Canelo Alvarez. Bivol the champion, Canelo Alvarez the challenger at 175. This is a championship bout. Make sure you like, subscribe, click the notification bell so you know every time I drop a video. Let's get right into it. This is a very intriguing matchup. I know a lot of people probably don't even know who the heck Dmitry Bivol is, but he a real one. So let's go right into the tail of the tape, get right into it. I did my research this time for a long time in a while. So let's talk about it. Canelo Alvarez, 31 years old, 57 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws with 39 wins by way of KO. Bivol, also 31, 19-0 with 11 knockouts. Canelo Alvarez standing 5'7.5" to Bivol 6 foot. Canelo has a reach of 70.5 inches. Bivol has a reach of 72 inches. So that's the tail of the tape. You got the slightly taller guy, well, not slightly, definitely significantly taller, with a slightly longer reach and a natural light heavyweight. He's been a natural light heavyweight for a hot minute here. So let's go ahead and look at the last notable fights. You have Canelo with the Triple G fight a couple years ago at 160. Actually, the first fight, which was a draw, and the second fight, which he got the nod in, his fight against Callum Smith, where he stopped him at 168 for one of his belts. His fight against Sergey Kovalev a year or two ago, where he got the knockout in round 7, I believe, at the 175-pound weight class, his first time up there. And then his recent win this past year against Caleb Plant at 168 for Plant's belt. So, been very active, had a lot of really good fights over the past 3 years, been keeping the competition level very high. So, Canelo, we know what he's about. We're really here to... Let's go into Canelo's amateur career real briefly. I mean, for those who know, he started out as a youngin. I mean, he's had almost, 60 fights professionally on record since the age of, 15? Yeah. So, I think I believe he became a full-fledged professional, let's just say very early. I can't remember if it was 15, but he started boxing professionally extremely early. So he started boxing when he was 13, and his older brother debuted as a professional boxer. He watched him. And then in 2004, Canelo got the silver medal at the Junior Mexican National Championships. And then in 2005, he became the Junior Mexican National Boxing Champion at the age of 15. And his amateur record was 44-2 with 12 knockouts. Not too shabby. Very good amateur career. So let's go ahead and flip over to Dmitry Bivol. His amateur career, stunning, stellar. 168-15 was his record. He started boxing at age 11. He moved to Russia. And he settled down there. And he was a very decorated amateur, as I just mentioned. So he won 2 world championships at the junior U17 level, as well as a bronze medal at the 2008 AIBA Youth World Boxing Championships in the middleweight division. And then recently, in the past 10 years, right? We're talking about more like 8 years. He won the Russian National Amateur Boxing Championships in 2012 and 2014 at light heavyweight. So he's been a natural light heavyweight for years now, right? So he broke into the professional ranks at light heavyweight, so he's very comfortable at 175. And his notable wins, March 2018, and he went on a string of big victories. March 2018, he had a big win over Sullivan Barrera, who challenged him for the belts. And Barrera was 21-0 at that point, or 21-1. He was a really decorated boxer out of Cuba, and he was able to stop him in the 12th round. Was able to dominate the fight and then stopped Sullivan Barrera in the 12th round. And up to that point, I think Sullivan Barrera's only loss was to Andre Ward. Yeah. So he was 21-1. He lost to Andre Ward in a very good fight, and it was one of Andre Ward's first fights back after his long layoff. So you're talking about a guy who is a very, very highly considered contender, and he was able to stop him in impressive fashion. And then you had fight about 5 months later against Isaac Chilemba, he was a contender for years at 175. And though he never won anything, he was one of those guys who was similar in impact to a Sean Porter, right? Like, Sean Porter had titles, but Sean Porter was always the guy that when he lost, it was only to the top guys, the creme de la creme. Never lost to any duds. And that's Chilemba. Chilemba, even when he loses, he gonna give you a tough fight. He gonna give you a rough night, and you're gonna wake up in the ice bath the next day like you're gonna feel it. So he got a very good win over Chilemba, and then 3 months later, back at it again against Jean Pascal at a time where Jean Pascal was really still at the peak of his powers. He had the draw against Bernard Hopkins and then the loss to Bernard Hopkins. But after that, I mean, he had a TKO loss against Sergey Kovalev and then a decision against Kovalev in their rematch. So again, with Jean Pascal, only lost to really, really elite talent, top level talent. So heavy-handed, built like a tank, highly athletic, can take a punch. I mean, if you know Jean Pascal, to his credit or to his detriment, he can take a punch, or several of them, or hundreds of them, right? So to be able to beat him in that fight, that was a very good test for Bivol. And then another 3 months later, staying active, fights Joe Smith Jr. and defends his belts against Joe Smith Jr. So just had a good run of fights there. And then recently, for me, the competition level hasn't been that great. You know, COVID was a big reason for that. You know, it was hard to get fights, and then the fights he was getting, he had one fight against this guy Richards. The guy was like a 2001 underdog, and he did what he needed to do there. And then he had a fight this past, I think, December or November against a Russian guy I had never heard of. Dominated the fight, but my concern here is, and we're going to get into it, he wasn't able to stop him. So, right? So you have to wonder if the power is there. And that's always been the question with Bivol. Is the power there? Because the hands are sharp, they real. Stamina, excellent. But the power, is he going to be able to make Canelo respect his power? Is Canelo going to be able to do what he's done at 168 and walk guys down? He didn't quite do it to Sergey Kovalev. He was somewhat mindful of Kovalev's power, even though I would say Kovalev probably overtrained for the fight, as well as being on the downside of his career. It's not the same Sergey Kovalev that we saw Andre Ward fight twice, right? Completely different fighter. So, and even then, Canelo was wary of Kovalev's power. Kovalev, 6'1", tall dude with power in both hands. So, versus a Caleb Plant or a Caleb Smith, both very mobile, lanky, rangy fighters. Caleb Smith more of a rangy fighter, very lanky, but not really much snap on his punches, not much power. He's just more of a fundamentally sound guy. It's just going to pick you apart if you're lacking in any one area, especially your fundamentals. So he was able to walk Caleb Smith down from the get-go, from the opening bell. Walked him down and imposed his will and didn't respect his power. Smith could not get him to respect his power. Caleb Plant could not get him to respect his power. But Caleb Plant had better defense, better head movement, slicker fighter, slicker hands, faster hands, right? So it was a more competitive fight. Billy Joe Saunders, that's another fight recently that Canelo had the big knockout win over. But let's be real. Billy Joe Saunders was running from Triple G and Canelo for years. And this fight just finally came to a head. Even so, Billy Joe Saunders, he's boxed very well, but he didn't have any power to really make Canelo respect him as the rounds wore on. And he eventually just said, okay, enough of this. I'm going to walk you down this round, see what you got. And he was able to walk through Billy Joe Saunders. So, very, very, very good win, but not up there with the ones over Caleb Plant or his wars with Triple G. I think the wars with Triple G made him. The Triple G fights, the Mayweather fight years back, and then his fight against his fights at 154, way back in the day. His fights at 154 those were the fights that made him. So going into this fight, here's how I see it playing out. You have Canelo, the smaller guy, slightly shorter reach, shorter height for sure, trying to close distance and be able to control the ring and get to the body against Bivol. I mean, that's pretty much Canelo's bread and butter anyway. I mean, we're not really sharing a state secret here, right? And you have Bivol who this is why this matchup is intriguing for me. Because Canelo, excellent head movement, and like I said, the Mayweather fight made him because it helped him see the deficiencies and flaws in his defense. And you can see he doesn't fight exactly like Mayweather with the shoulder roll all the time, but he breaks out here and there. Excellent head movement. His feet still aren't the fastest, but he uses the skills he has and maximizes them. And he walks you down while expending minimal energy. And that's something that Floyd did as well. You know, try to take you into deep waters and see if you're going to drown or not, or if you're going to, tread water as well. And then he's going to see exactly where you're standing at. So, Canelo, he'll use that head movement. He'll try to land a punch here and there, but he don't waste punches. He really don't waste punches. And at the same time, while stalking you, he moves his head. He moves his head, doesn't take a lot of shots, gets a gauge for your temperature, what shots you like to throw. And if you're a straight up and down, no special effects type of fighter, the 1-2 all night long, he got traps for all that. If you don't vary up the attack. Right? So what's going to be interesting here is Bivol lives by the jab, a great 1-2, but also has a very nice sweeping left hook as well. So he mixes it up, and even though he can throw volume at points, he doesn't gas out. So that's what's going to be very intriguing about this, because the real question, with that being said, the real question is going to be, does Bivol have the power to make Canelo think twice before trying to counter Bivol's shots? Because if he's afraid of something coming back, Canelo will throw that left hook to the body, dig that left hook to the body. Parry Bivol's jab with his right hand and then come, left hook to the body. Or parry that jab with his right hand, uppercut, rear uppercut, then left shovel hook to the body or up top. Or he'll double up to the body up top, left side. But if he's conscious of something coming back at him that can hurt him, it's not going to stop what Canelo's going to do, but it's going to make him reevaluate and go to plan B, C, and D, as opposed to just saying, I don't respect you, I'm just going to walk you down. Now, I'm looking at them training side by side, and look, Canelo, we know he got pop on the back. He going to bring that pop, that boom with that hook. But Bivol, man, on that heavy bag, those jabs to the body were sounding like gunshots, man. That straight up shotgun shells. Full metal jacket, hollow tip bullets. I was like, damn, I didn't know dude had pop like that in his fist. And I've been aware of Bivol for years now. Him, Artur Beterbiev, and Goszik, he's gone now. And then it was Kovalev when he was in his prime. So, I've been very aware of these guys. And Bivol's been a guy that's been on my radar, but I didn't know that he had more power than I thought he did. He doesn't have the power that Canelo has, I don't think, but I think he has enough power to give him pause. So that's what makes this fight intriguing to me. Okay? Obviously, there's a reason why Canelo didn't go after, in my opinion, a Beterbiev at 175, because he's there to be hit, but that's also the thing. He's there to be hit. He's going to take the shots of a Canelo, in my opinion, or a Bivol and say, okay, I'm here, right? A Shabransky, as big as he is, just too sloppy, in my opinion, okay? But a Beterbiev, see, and I won't even blame Canelo for avoiding a guy like that, at least in his first couple of fights up at 175. And going after a Bivol, because you're like, okay, well, the power isn't what Beterbiev's is. Maybe I can come up here and impose my will. Me personally, speed goes to Beterbiev. Power goes to Canelo. Footwork, Bivol. Stamina, slight edge to Bivol. Right? And mind you, Canelo's stamina has gotten much better, and that's one of the lessons that he took from the Triple G fight. However, his stamina, he's never going to be the type of guy that can go 12 rounds full bore. I mean, and that's not no knock on him. A lot of fighters like that, right? But he's wisened up and said, okay, I'm going to use my head movement, not give a lot of volume, but use my head movement and get guys to gas out. Apply that mental pressure on them. Like, even if I'm not necessarily throwing punches and bunches, I'm going to stalk you down, stay in front of you, move my head, make you miss punches, try to demoralize you, and keep putting that mental pressure on you round after round. And from time to time, I'm going to parry you. I'm going to hit you with a shot, try to take some air out of your sails. And then eventually, round after round, see different spots I can pick you apart at, as well as draining you energy-wise. And then that's when I get you in trouble, right? And that's how you can give the illusion that your gas tank is much bigger than it actually is. So we're going to see if he's going to be able to elude the sharp punches from Bivol, right? If he's able to elude that early on, then I think Canelo's going to be able to have a much easier night, right? Possibly a very easy night. But if he's not able to elude, I would say at least 60% of the punches coming at him early on, or at least 70% of the punches coming at him early on, right? And even the 30% he's getting hit with, if they're just like, maybe pitter-pat shots, he can deal with that. Some of them coming off the glove, some of them hitting flush, but you can deal with that. But he cannot be getting hit with sharp shots early on, because Bivol's not going to gas out. So that's going to be what it comes down to me, especially with the footwork. So that's and the stamina. So I give stamina a slight edge to Bivol. Ring generalship, Bivol, very, very, very intelligent, very high level. He plays chess. He's not playing checkers. However, I'm going to give the edge to Canelo with ring generalship, because he has the experience under his belt. This is a guy that knows what he's doing, and he's been in wars. He's been in wars, and he's going to be in more of them. Like, the Triple G fights really made him as a fighter. So he's had the experience against a guy like a Triple G, who, in my opinion, is probably the hardest hitting opponent he's faced. And he felt that in the first fight. And he was able to weather the storm. I personally thought that Triple G won the first fight clearly. I had it 8-4 for Triple G. Some had it 9-3. I had it 8-4. But even so, in that loss, in my opinion, even though it was scored a draw, even though he lost, in my opinion, he was able to survive that fight and come back stronger. In that second fight, I thought they said he won. I thought it was a draw, but I thought he did enough in that fight to say, okay, I'm here and I'm not backing up this time. I'm walking forward against the boogeyman. And that taught him that, okay, I can take punches at heavier weights. Okay? I think that gave him a lot of confidence, because Triple G, he be hurting light heavyweights and heavyweights in sparring. Okay? He's a very hard puncher. At least Triple G at his prime. Very hard puncher. So you're talking about you're getting hit by the equivalent of somebody who's hitting like damn near a light heavyweight or a cruiserweight, okay? So I think that gave Canelo confidence that I can take punches from guys at 168. I can possibly take punches from guys at 175, because truth be told, Canelo, he's a big dude. His weight that he walks around at, he probably walks around at 175, 180 when he's not in peak condition, like outside of training camp. He's a natural 175 pounder. He just happens to be very short. He's a very short, stocky guy. So I think it was easier for him actually to move up in weight versus trying to weight drain to fight at 147, 152, 154 and all those weights. Even 160 was probably becoming a little bit of an issue for him to get his weight down to compete at that division. All right. So the only issue for him is really fighting taller guys, but it's not the weight. I think he's a very stocky guy. So that's what it's going to come down to. Can Bivol keep Canelo off him and land consistently enough where Canelo has to start expending energy as opposed to sitting on the end of punches? Because if there's anybody that's good at getting within long range and getting to like middle and close range, it's Canelo. However, Bivol is also a master of establishing and maintaining range as well. So I think the way I see this fight playing out in my last category, so we have speed, Bivol, power, Canelo, footwork, Bivol, stamina, slightly to Bivol, ring generalship to Canelo, and then X Factor I'm going to give to Canelo because he's had all that wealth of experience against the creme de la creme. Win, lose, or draw. Mayweather, Triple G. That's who I was forgetting before. Austin Trout at 154. You know, Austin Trout, I believe, might have been undefeated at that point and a very slick, really hard to deal with southpaw. He's had the experience, okay? And then recently with Caleb Plant. So I'm gonna give the edge to Canelo there with the X Factor. So overall, the way I see this fight playing out, I think this is a much closer fight than people realize. I have Canelo winning by. If Canelo doesn't win by stoppage in round 8 or 9, then Canelo's going to win by decision. However, even though Canelo is my pick for this fight, I say that Bivol can very easily win this fight as well. Okay, this is one of Canelo's toughest fights, in my opinion, since Triple G, in the same camp of Triple G, Austin Trout. Not quite Mayweather because he was green, but Triple G and Austin Trout. Yeah, it's still Mayweather in there too. Those 3 fights, this is lumped in with that category. So it's going to be a very tough fight, but I think that Canelo is going to be able to come out with the dub here, and then we'll see what he does after. But you know, I'm just saying, if you sleep on Bivol, you might end up losing your money. I'm just going to throw it out there like that, okay? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's my pick. Canelo Alvarez by decision, possibly by stoppage, but you know I'm gonna play it safe here. I'm gonna say by decision because I think Bivol is a little bit different than what people anticipate. So I think Canelo Alvarez by majority decision. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and we'll talk about it after the fight. Enjoy your night, people, and happy Cinco de Mayo weekend. Adios.